In this sequence, we are focusing on three major things. Practicing shortening the muscles in the back of your body, from the base of your skull as they run down the sides of your spine, all the way down your lower back, through your glutes, hamstrings, and down to your feet. So often we're in flexion, and I want you to retrain your body in extension, keeping in mind that you want to do it gradually. You don't want to work through pain or discomfort. So that can look a little bit different for every person, but for our purposes today, we want to first start with a seated position, ideally forward enough in a chair so that your feet are flat on the ground. Check to see that you have about 50% body weight in both of your sits bones, so you're not sinking or dropping to one side. Oftentimes when we sit, eventually we end up here because gravity's pulling us down and we're sitting for so long that it's hard to still sit upright. So what I want you to think about as an exercise is that someone's coming in and grabbing your sternum and lifting your sternum up. That's the initiation of movement. Bringing your sternum up, and if you're able to extend, start to extend back just a little bit so you're gazing up on the diagonal, slight chin tuck. Naturally, the shoulders will fall back into this placement. So you don't have to force them back or push them, bummer, down into your back pocket. All right, let's try this again. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm in the flow. All right, here's a real deal. Okay, number one, sternum up. You are rested. Lift the sternum up. Feel what happens to your spine. I want you then to imagine, visualize in your mind the muscles in the back of your skull as they travel down the sides of your spine, shortening. That's the name of the game. And as you're doing it now, once you're slightly extended, wherever you're able to go pain-free, turn on those muscles because you're making them. It's this energetic vibration of muscle contraction. Letting the bones kind of settle into place. If you have scoliosis or rotations, you can make little adjustments and see how it feels in your body. Shoulder blades are just naturally in a more comfortable position. You're not reaching the head back or dropping it back. You still have a chin tuck with a little lift to gaze up at the diagonal, so you're still shortening the back of the neck. And then soften, relax, bring it down. Repeat that about 5 times with a 5 to 15 second hold. Let's do one more together before we add on. Sternum up. Feeling the shoulders fall into a better alignment. Slight chin tuck. Visualize shortening the posterior muscles, the paraspinals or erector spinae. There's other muscles in there, lots of them. A lot of them are shortening right now. Make their connection united. Feel them working together, both the right side, left side, up and down. Relax back to center. Okay, if that feels good, adding on to the sequence. So when you're extending the spine, those muscles that you now are shortening will hit the glutes, which you're what? Sitting on, right? When we sit for a long time, we end up accumulating unwanted tissue and adipose tissue throughout the muscles that we're sitting on, our glutes and hamstrings. What happens then is they become less functional. They don't work as well for you. So we need to pump them up, turn them back on. So often we're focusing on hamstring stretch, glute stretch. But you know what? We are still in a society full of back pain. If those two things helped, none of us would be in back pain. Of course, there's other pathologies and reasons for back pain, but a big recommendation is stretch the piriformis, stretch the hamstrings. Well, we're gonna do something different. We're gonna turn them into a pump. So when now you lift your sternum up, now I want you to squeeze your tush, a butt squeeze, a butt pump, a glute set, whatever you wanna call it, squeeze it. Again, notice the quality. Is your right glute pumped up more than the left or your left one? Are you lopsided because you have more cushion in one side versus the other? Let it release. Okay, let's talk about one more thing. If you extend and it didn't feel accessible to contract your glutes, don't extend. Just stay in neutral position and squeeze your tush, hold it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it relax. Do it again. As you're doing this, I'm going to tell you, my left side doesn't show up. I have to reach into the glute and into the tissue and turn it on more because my right side does it, my left side doesn't. So think about that for you. When you're doing a glute set, does it throw you off kilter? Do you feel weaker on one side or harder to reach the depths of the tissue? Let it relax. Okay, let's add the back extension again before we continue. Sitting, neutral spine. If you're here, stay and that feels comfortable. If you're lifting, sternum up. Think of all the different pieces that fall into place. Shoulders, head, ribs. Visualize the shortening of the paraspinals. Add your glute set. Hold it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Soften, let everything release. Now here's the thing. If you're in the car and you feel your butt starting to ache, you start to feel throbbing in your back, instead of trying to maneuver and stretch and dig, squeeze your butt. Hold it for a few seconds. Dive in there. Let it go. So do a couple glute sets or butt pumps. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. We'll just call it glute set. Okay, here we go. On to the third element of this sequence. Shortening the hamstrings. When we stretch our hamstrings, I don't know, but I listen for people out there that are cueing the pelvic position in relationship to the femur, but it's not talked about. So when you're doing a hamstring stretch, let me show you from the side. When you're going forward, look at what happens. You're curving the back, curving the pelvis, everything is rounded. But look at what happens if I reverse that. Then I get a true stretch of the hamstring. But that's not really the goal either. Like I said, we want to shorten the hamstrings. So I'm going to show you one in seated position that you can do as an add-on to the sequence that we've just started. So let's take one heel out in front of you. If you're sitting too much on your hamstrings, scoot your bum forward on your chair. Now when your foot is forward, take a look at alignment because that's also important. The center of the kneecap ideally is in line with your second toe. Now if you have an externally rotated foot and it doesn't work that way yet, that's okay. Stick with it the way you have it. Okay, hips are squared, a little bit of a glute set. Press your heel down into the ground so you can contract the hamstrings. Give a feel to them. So you want to look at the quality. Are these medial hamstrings stronger, fuller, tighter, and the lateral ones not so much? If they are, try to balance it out. This is hard to do. A lot of times we have dormant lateral hamstrings on one side. Once you have that, now you're going to start to draw the heel back, keeping it firm into the ground. Visualize the hamstring shortening, shortening, shortening. Go as short as you can. You can even come forward with a flat back. Lift your tailbone away from you, not under you. So you arch that lower back again. Back extension again. Squeeze your tush, keep it in the ground, flex your hamstrings, and then relax back to center. Straighten the leg out, press down. Center the kneecap, second toe. Neutral spine, double check the ribs. Now where are your rib cage? Where is it going? Center it. So we're strengthening in our optimal posture. Pull it back, flex your hamstrings, shorten them, visualize them, think about them anatomically in your mind. Feel the quality and relationship of the hamstring contraction to your glutes. Couple second hold here so you really feel it, tune into it. Bring the leg back out. For purposes of time, feel free to repeat that as needed. I suggest at least 5 reps. And then we'll try the other side so we can compare. Okay, bring your other leg out. Knee in line, second and third toe. Hips squared, rib cage settled. Sternum up slightly. Doesn't have to be an extension here, just neutral. Press your heel down. Notice if that hamstring turned on faster or slower. Keep contracting it, turning it on because you're making it work. Start to heel slide back, shortening the hamstrings. Visualize them shortening. Come all the way back, keep the heel on the ground. You can hinge forward, squeeze your tush. Try all these things to unite the relationship of the muscle contracting, and the other areas. One more time, find your setup. Press the heel down, keep pressing it down, squeezing, contracting the hamstrings, shortening them, shortening them, shortening them. Leaning forward if you're able. Couple second hold and release. Shoulder blades up and back. For one reset breath and rest. Okay, the name of the game. Seated back extension, Shorten the paraspinals alongside the spine. Feed that through the relationship with your glutes. Fascially, they're side by side, so they're in an intimate relationship. Glute squeeze, contract, pump, hold it for a few seconds. Add in hamstring curl at the end, 5 reps each side. Keep practicing that, and in time, my hope is that when you then take it to a standing position, it's easier for your body to have that posture without trying so much. And also the hamstrings aren't overly long and pulling the sacrum and the pelvis into a posterior tilt all the time. So you're able to let the pelvis rest more naturally in your body and the rib cage over your pelvis. It's a great place to start. I love to hear what you think of that and if you have any questions. And off you go. Enjoy your reverse idea of how to address back pain.